And then even, we're going to do esports is a big focus for us for it. So,
Yes.
We do a good job of esports, even in the physical space. So,
Right.
esports online, and then also bringing that into the physical space, like you've seen with StarCraft and League.
Awesome.
Some of that stuff I think would be amazing.
Howdy Hexers, welcome to Hex Hunter. I'm Mokog, and today we're examining Hex's esport potential. First, we'll look at some of the known information about Cryptozoic's esport intent, then we'll break down the challenges and requirements for flourishing in the esports world. But let's take a look at what we know so far. We know that Cryptozoic has dedicated itself to bringing out the esports potential in Hex. Corey Jones has made mentions of it in multiple articles and several interviews. We also know that they are planning multiple tournament types. We know that each of these have the possibility of really bringing out a lot of the interesting aspects of TCGs that would be fun to watch in an esports context. And we also know that they are planning playback support. But there are some known challenges that we have to deal with. One of them is we don't know the full features yet of their playback support. Because we don't know exactly what they're doing, it's very hard for the community to plan around what they need to really enhance how Hex is going to work. They also will end up having live event hosting challenges. Because this is an online digital game, they're going to need to be able to carting around servers and a lot of other logistics to make their live events work. I'm very confident that they'll be able to pull it off, but it is a known and significant challenge, as they need to make sure that connectivity is there. But the biggest stigma that is challenging them is the pay-to-win stigma. Each sport has a paywall and a skill wall. StarCraft 2 and League of Legends have a fairly low paywall and a fairly high skill wall. What this means is they don't have to pay very much to participate in StarCraft 2 and League of Legends, but it takes a high degree of skill to compete in StarCraft 2 and League of Legends. Trading card games are a bit different. They have a high paywall and a high skill wall. You have to pay quite a bit of money to really get what you need to participate, and then you have to play over and over again to get the skill. This comes from a couple different places. There's always going to be a limited amount of cards. Even though you may have a bunch of different players, you have a lot of demand going for all of the packs that are already opened. And what we tend to find is that $100 to $200 initial investment per set does not make a full play set. Maybe for common and uncommon cards, but nothing near that for rares or legendary cards. And to get a full play set for a single set, the average investment is about $500 to $1,000. 3 sets per year, that averages to $1,500 to $3,000 per year for a paywall. This isn't just to have the skill to play. This is what you have to do to be able to play with the best cards. Now, you can borrow, you can buy on the secondary market. That just mitigates some of it. It doesn't change that you still need to lay out per set a much higher amount of money. StarCraft 2, all you have to do is buy Wings of Liberty and Heart of the Swarm. You're good. League of Legends, all you have to do is get your champions, and the champions never really go out of style. You buy a champion one day, you may be able to play it 6 months into the future, and probably will. That's not the same thing for card games. We have that pay-to-win stigma that sticks with every trading card game. Hex does have a few tick boxes it needs to do to be able to flourish as an esport. We have to continue all of our community building. We have to keep building our satellite sites, our database sites, and building up our YouTube channels so that we can continuously attract and describe the joy we have in the Hex game. Right now, there's so much excitement related. We haven't even received alpha into our hands yet. If we can keep up our excitement, keep up our drive for making the game fantastic, we'll have the community necessary to bring players in, educate them on how to be good, and then have learned players doing fantastic things in the game. Cryptozoic, though, needs to make sure that they have clearly defined participation in their events. We don't want participators in one tournament not being able to participate in another unless it's clearly defined. For Nationals, as an instance, you don't want the winner of Nationals to go to each national event and win every single one. It's not fair, it doesn't make sense. But they need to know they can't do that. You can't have, let's say, the top 8 of the European Nationals not know that they can't go compete in the U.S. tournament to try to do better. has to be clear and defined. The next thing we have to have is better playback. We do know that Cryptozoic is building a playback option, but it has to be better. What this means is they need to have the ability to play, pause, fast forward, rewind at a minimum. But they also need to be able to allow observers to zoom into any card during playback so that you can see the different points of interaction. Observers should also be able to see the discard pile or either player's hand ad hoc whenever they want to. This can help build understanding of what each player would be choosing and help you empathize and see what would you play given the current situation in their hand. And if they want to go that extra mile, enable a sneak peek mode. Allow the observer to take a look at the top card of the deck. All of our playback is going to be after the game is done. Not something you'd want to enable live action, of course, but if the game is already played, what's the harm in looking at the next card the player is going to look at? I think it adds a nice layer in observing a card game. But the biggest thing they have to eliminate is they have to eliminate the pay-to-win stigma to survive as an esport. Towards that end, I do have a recommendation. Only at major esport Cryptozoic events, enable a new type of account. Enable a tournament account. Have these accounts come with a full playset of PvP cards, and then reset these accounts at the end of each tournament. What this intends to do is allow anyone who can enter the tournament the ability to deck build as though they bought all of the cards necessary to play. But they lose all of the benefits that comes with owning the card. So it's kind of like they're borrowing them and then they go away. And then you allow players to choose whether they bring their own accounts or they use a tournament account. But to make it fair, you have to significantly enhance the rewards for using your own cards. You need to get enhanced experience for your double backs. You need to get extended arts, foil cards, new sleeves, wonderful account bound items for participating in the tournament, because there has to be a cost as compared to being able to play with everything. Because you want players to be able to come from another game and try to compete. You want players who are new to try to compete with the big dogs. You want players who are coming back down the line to be able to refamiliarize themselves within a 10-minute, 20-minute deck building time frame and then try again. A pro Hex player who puts in hours on hours on hours is going to be better than either of those three cases, and that's the player you want to compete in Worlds. You don't want the player who has the fattest wallet to be the one who competes at Worlds. You want the innovative thinker, the one who comes out of the box, the one who changes the metagame to do that. And the only way you can widen that base is to lower the paywall. Bring the paywall down to tournament entry fee for your main events, and you're going to get more players able to compete at high levels of skill, because the tools to do so are then widely available. Then once the play is done, you take up those tools and never let them hit the market. So that way you salvage all of the value and then reward your players who brought their own material. If we enable this, we eliminate the hardest thing TCGs face in the esports world. And it becomes fantastic to watch as new innovative styles of play can change up a metagame from all the old context that the pro players had brought before. Everyone, thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Check out the links below for some of the articles and interviews mentioned. If you'd like a copy of the intro music, it's available at OC Remix. I'm Mokog, and this is Hex Hunter.
My personal goal, I've been playing TCGs from, the moment Magic came out at that Gen Con. I've been playing TCGs the entire time, almost 20 years now. And so as, I feel like I want to help bring more people into it.